Oh, now that's because it wasn't on.
Lol. Work your hand better.
Whoa,
Oh,
babe.
yeah. On the
You know my hand hasn't worked for years.
Oh, please.
You know that. I'm really sensitive about it.
I'm imagining like the hand from the guy in scary movies who makes the pie.
Well, that's just offensive.
Sorry.
I wasn't going to be ableist.
Oh no!
Okay.
He especially is just fucking.
Oh, so now you're accusing the man with the little hand of being ableist.
I would just like him to use a little spoon.
It's a really good thing you're not on X because you would get dragged.
Oh, you know what I am on? I'm jacked up on Jesus. What I'm.
You on spring break?
I am on a spring break.
Rise and shine, little bitch.
Brang, brang. This movie gave me herpes.
You know, it's funny you say that about the herpes because there was the one. Okay, so I read a lot of retrospective reviews. This movie's been out for 10 years. Spring Breakers, directed by Harmony Korine, came out in 2013. One of the best movies of the decade. I'm not afraid. Yep.
Yeah.
But I read a lot of retrospective reviews and I read a lot of reviews and I read some really bad ones. Like there's some people who are real smooth brain takes about this film. And there's some other people who have really interesting takes, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But there was one quote that I really enjoyed, and I didn't write down who wrote it, but it was basically a sequence in a crowded motel room that involved co-eds making out with each other, and regional sensations, the ATL twins snorting lines off someone's mons pubis is so authentic that you'd worry you'll catch chlamydia just watching it.
You know why it feels authentic? Because it was. I feel like I don't even feel like I think they pulled in real people off the streets.
They did.
To come participate, right?
They did. 100%.
And they did this knowing full well that sweet little Selena Gomez could just get stabbed in the face.
There is a scene in which Harmony Korine brought her to a place allegedly that was full of criminals.
My God.
And she was not ready for it.
You know what? You want a method act? This is as methodical as it gets.
Yeah, this is the best work that Selena Gomez has ever done. It's spring break.
Yeah.
It's an atmospheric river right now in Vancouver, and so it does not feel like spring break at all. Do you like this movie?
I do.
Yeah.
It's
a really fucking great
weird
film.
and just not weird in a way that it's unexpected, but just it's left to be grimy, like unlike Neon Demon, for instance.
Yeah.
Which deals with kind of similar stuff, but also very clean, very polished, like
controlled.
Very controlled.
Much
but
more
here,
controlled.
It's just whack-ass fucking dubstep underbelly of America. Sprang, brag.
I was born to. Look at my shit.
Look at
my shit.
I'm just going to yell at you for the
There
next
we go.
40 minutes.
Okay, now we're talking. Now, right.
Okay, dear audience.
Once I do my James Franco impression, which is not okay.
It's not okay.
To do
Don't
anymore.
do it. Don't do it.
James Franco does not exist.
He's over. He's over for us.
Hitler. No.
Whoa. Only slightly less worse.
Oh,
okay.
Fuck. Okay, well, fucking, we've stopped and started this fucking thing so many times. I'm fucking sick of it.
You'll figure it out.
Do you want to know what I think of this movie? I'm going to tell you. I love it. It was one of my favorite movies of the decade, maybe of one of the best, and I'll say it, decades of filmmaking ever, because it was really hard to choose what my favorite of that decade was. This movie fucking rules. Now, you over there, Priyanka.
Oh, me? Oh, shit, government name.
You don't know anything about Harmony Korine.
Yeah, voluntarily.
And I told you to not know anything about Harmony Korine, right?
Yeah, you told me this yesterday, but like for the past 30-odd years, I've been like, I'm not going to find out about Harmony Korine.
Yeah, when you came out of the womb, your mom was like, don't learn anything
My
about
mom was
Harmony.
like, brag.
Your mom was like, look at my teeth. They should call me money. Yeah.
They should call me money.
Yeah. Your mom was like, it's my American dream. My baby's got to eat. My baby's starving. Can I just say about that Gucci Mane scene? One of the things I love, I adore about, Gucci Mane's, Academy Award snubbed performance in this film.
He's fucking phenomenal.
When he's sitting there surrounded by friends and he has his baby on his knee in a mansion, and he's like, my baby is starving. My baby's got to eat. I got to put food in my baby's mouth. He's taking food out of my baby's mouth. Also, did you notice there is like a kilo of weed on the coffee table just loose?
There is no potassium in weed that I know.
But it's
so
also
baby's got to
like,
eat potassium.
I don't know, dude. Your baby doesn't seem to be starving.
It's also the chubbiest little baby.
I know that baby's got to be like 1 year old. It's already 3 feet tall.
Yeah,
it's already ready to like.
You should call that baby money because it's made of it.
It's the American dream.
My God,
you don't know anything about Harmony Korine, and I told you that I would give you a rundown about Harmony Korine. The thing I love about Harmony Korine is he's almost more fun to talk about than he is to actually watch his films. So I know I wouldn't say I'm an expert. Spring Breakers is one of my favorite films of all time. Harmony Korine is not one of my favorite filmmakers, but he's had a clearly just a fascinating career.
Colorful.
And I will say that I watched a panel interview from the Locarno Film Festival from this year. It was he was being interviewed, him with Gaspar Noé. Do you know who Gaspar Noé is?
No. Is it because of the new movie that's coming out?
Aggro Dirt, which is coming out this year apparently. Aggro Drift. Aggro Dirt or Aggro Drift? Starring Travis Scott.
Ooh.
So the context behind this is that him and Gaspar Noé worked with Travis Scott to, I believe, make music videos, and then or something involved with Travis Scott's artistry. I don't know.
Musicality.
His music, Travis Scott's Traviscottery was important here.
Yeah.
Gaspar Noé, you do know him because he's the director of the film Irreversible.
What?
A film that I think is an incredibly made, awful film that no one should ever watch.
Yeah.
The wild thing about this interview is that Harmony Korine makes Gaspar Noé look like an English professor.
He out-weirdoed the weirdo.
Gaspar Noé seems like Steven Spielberg next to Harmony Korine, just being like, yeah, I'm a serious filmmaker. I jack off in my films, and a guy beats another person to death with a fire extinguisher.
I mean, it's a Wednesday. What are you gonna...
So Harmony Korine, and I watched it. It's on YouTube. You can look up like Harmony Korine interview, and it's an interesting interview. And they go through Harmony Korine's kind of career. So he grows up in Nashville, and he's a bad student. He's not great. And he talks about how like he never really cared about school. He was into skateboarding. But one day he wrote a creative writing assignment, and his teacher like held it up in front of the class and said, "Who wrote this? This is really good."
Oh shit.
And she asked him, she's like, "What do you," or he or she, I don't remember. He's like, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And he said, "I don't know. I've always wanted to make movies." He used to play with like a VHS recorder of his father's. He used to kind of like fuck around with movies and stuff like that. And he said, I don't know. I want to make movies. And she was like, "Do you think you could turn this short story into a film?" And so he did, you know. He'd never written a script, nothing like that. He's just a kid, and he makes a kid's film, basically, which apparently he said still exists and was shown recently at a film festival.
What?
Yeah.
Is he a friggin' prodigy? What?
Well, kind of. He actually kind of is, which is really insane, and you'll see why. He moves to New York, and he goes to university, but he doesn't like it because he's Harmony Korine, and he wants to skateboard, and he wants to vandalize, and he wants to be a petty criminal. He also, quite interestingly, which I never knew about until I watched this interview, he was like, I worked on a film set as an assistant for a while, and someone was like, "What film?" He's like, it was this movie called Light Sleeper by Paul Schrader.
What?
And I was like, that makes
just
a lot of sense.
Just Paul, fucking from Backdoor. What the fuck?
But it's interesting because Paul Schrader deals with this like creepy underbelly of life in lots of ways, and Harmony Korine bathes in that, essentially.
Yeah. So Korine was what, 15, 16 already in...
He was in college, I believe. Early college.
Damn.
And then he meets... This is where the legend of him starts. He meets this guy named Larry Clark. Larry Clark is another filmmaker much like Harmony Korine, actually. A little bit older. But he's made some interesting movies, and the most notable one, Kids. Have you seen Kids?
No.
Do you know what Kids is?
No.
Kids that's so interesting because it's very famous. Kids is a 1995 movie about teenagers. Like it's Larry Clark asked Harmony Korine, "Can you write a movie about your friends based like around the context of the AIDS epidemic with teenagers?"
Is this the Rosario Dawson one? on?
Yes.
Oh, shit, right. Yeah, of course.
The irony is that
Oh
later
my
in this
God.
interview, Harmony Korine says, he's like, I don't really like working with professional actors. And yet Kids launches the career of Rosario Dawson and Chloe Sevigny,
Damn.
who was Harmony Korine's girlfriend at the time.
All right.
Very interesting. So he, like...
Where did he come from? Jeez.
I know, the thing is like, he writes Kids, and Kids is like a pretty big hit for what it is. Like, even still, when you watch Kids today, it's a very interesting, I wouldn't call it avant-garde, but I would definitely call it indie/experimental.
Oh, indie for sure.
In its design.
Huh.
Have you seen it? Are you thinking of...
Oh my God, it's like a million years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no memory of it now, but I
Parents
remember feeling not good.
Parents out there, it's not for kids.
It's
okay?
not.
It's about AIDS.
Yeah.
So he does, I wouldn't say he like blows up from this, but he starts being like, maybe I can do this as a career, and he writes scripts and works with Larry Clark again, and then he gets given he raises $1 million to make his debut film, which is called Gummo. Gummo is a really weird. Again, I wouldn't
You've
call
seen
it.
Gummo,
I've
right?
seen Gummo. Yes,
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it avant-garde, but I would call it indie experimental. Although I think the weird thing about Korine's films is that indie kind of, in my opinion, extols a little bit more virtue than actually is like his movies. Like when you think of indie today, you think of like A24, and you think of like something like After Sun, which is like a beautiful movie about a man and his daughter, kind of.
Yeah.
Whereas like Harmony Korine makes
sewer movies.
Yeah, with non-professional actors. Almost a totally non-professional crew. He himself, like, he talks. One thing I found super fascinating is like he was saying in the interview that after a while, despite having written Kids and being seen as this prodigy, he was like, I kind of lost interest in writing scripts. I don't really like writing scripts. I just kind of write these storyboards. It's lots of improvisation, and then I kind of find it later in the edit of the film. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. He does some legendary David Letterman interviews. A few of them, which are like, they're very famous, like YouTube videos of him being interviewed on David Letterman, and then Letterman explaining that Harmony Korine has a lifetime ban from ever appearing on his show again because he was caught rifling through Meryl Streep's purse.
Oh, didn't you hear that he chokeslammed her in the fucking green room? No, what the fuck?
I don't think many people know about this part. Harmony Korine and Meryl Streep had a knife fight, and then that's how. That's how that ended. I don't know what that was.
She's like, I'm on spring break. Fucking nutty. What?
Spring break.
That's
my Meryl Streep. Spring break.
Oh God.
Spring break.
Spring break is cerulean.
Rise and shine, little bitch. That's. That
you've never seen Devil Wears Prada.
That's my Meryl that's my Meryl Streep, but it sounds more like Dave Chappelle when he does white man voice. Which he looks a lot like Meryl Streep when he puts the white face on.
Twins.
So later he does two movies which I've never seen. One of which is called Julian Donkey Boy. Now, I've never seen it. I don't really have much of a desire to watch it. However, an interesting and important thing about it is he was trying to follow the Dogma 95 spec, which do you know about that?
Of course, yeah.
For the listeners, that's like an incredibly realism-focused filmmaking technique that no one has ever truly accomplished because most of them cheat. Even the quintessential Dogma 95 film, which is directed by Thomas Vinterberg, the director of Another Round, which we fucking love.
Oh, hell yeah.
One of his films, I think it's called The Dinner or The Conversation or something like that. He even admitted that he cheated a little bit when he made that. Two big founders and proponents of that are Lars von Trier and Thomas Vinterberg.
Oh, shit.
Two Danes who we absolutely love.
Just saddest Danes.
Yeah. Harmony Korine wanted to do that. He never truly accomplished it, but he makes a movie called Julian Donkey Boy. Never seen it. Whatever. And then he does... Oh, what does he do? Mr. Lonely, I think, is his next movie, which sounds interesting, but also, like, I don't know. Again, not that interested in it. So I'm going to move on. The greatest accomplishment, in my opinion, in Harmony Korine's career is a film called Trash Humpers.
You know what? Say more, because that tracks so far.
I have seen Trash Humpers, and
Okay.
as he said when he introduced it at, I believe, TIFF, the title should be taken quite literally.
Yeah.
Trash Humpers is about 4 actors in old age makeup doing various vandalism around a city.
Okay.
And Korine said in the interview that I watched, the recent one, he was like, that movie I wanted to make a celebration of vandalism, and I wanted it to be like spontaneous.
Huh.
He's like, I wanted it to be just like weird and eerie and strange, but a celebration ultimately. And it stars him, Rachel Korine, who's in Spring Breakers, and 2 other actors, and they're in old age makeup, and they're just doing weird. It's a haunting piece of work, and I actually think it's kind of amazing. And the other amazing thing about it, he intended the original Trash Humpers to be distributed on anonymous videotapes that he would just throw around the city.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. That's just like drugs.
With no credits, no nothing, just a videotape you found of these weird old men. And he talks about the inspiration for it was that he used to live near an old age home.
Yeah.
And these old men would they had, they were getting old, they had dementia and stuff, and they would run around outside, and they would
Cool.
be like peeping Toms in these people's homes, and he was very inspired by that.
What the fuck?
So
he sounds like human 4chan. I don't know what the fuck is going on. It's weird, and you can't take your eyes off it.
But you know what I love about him is, like, even though Trash Humpers is kind of deliberately a little haunting and disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it a long time ago, so I can't give clear examples of that, but it is very strange. I think you can watch it on YouTube, but I also think it's been like released on Blu-ray.
Oh, why?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he also said in that interview that the guy who edited it was 95% blind.
Is he for real?
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Huh.
One thing that I love about him and that I love about this movie, and we can transition into talking about Spring Breakers, which he does after Trash Humpers, is he's kind of joyous in his transgressiveness.
Okay.
He makes disturbing stuff. He makes haunting. He makes uncomfortable things. He makes silly things. But ultimately, I find he is very, like, he takes a lot of joy in it. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, there's I think there's sometimes a vibe of, like, very serious transgressive filmmakers or authors or something like that who are just like, the weight of the world weighs very heavily on me.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to expose the dark Paul Schrader's a great example.
Yes, 100%.
The dark underbelly of Earth and how awful, like Taxi Driver, basically. People, what's a good recent example of that? Something like Joker is like the self-serious version of something ridiculous that you're just kind of like, okay, fucking Jesus Christ, have a cocktail for the love of God. But what I love about Korine is, like, he seems joyful. Like, he seems like he really loves this stuff. And something I love about Spring Breakers, which I thought today when I was watching it again, in the opening shot with all of the people who are just partying on spring break, it's not judgmental.
No.
Now, critics and reviewers and viewers like us, we can impart our own judgment on a bunch of douchebags celebrating spring break in Florida, like a bunch of loser, like being like, oh, these like party boys and like just
the
drunk idiot, like loser,
blah, blah,
like, you know what I
blah.
mean?
Yeah.
We can do that all we want.
Right.
Harmony Korine does not do that, in my opinion. I don't think he actually expresses an opinion in this film about anything.
Yeah.
The only opinion this film has, and we'll talk more about this, he cares about the 4 young women at the center of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the film cares about them. He doesn't care about, I don't think he cares about James Franco, and I don't think he cares about Gucci Mane's character.
No.
But he cares about the young women.
And he does, like, none of it kind of feels like, oh, he's trying to tell you, don't do drugs or don't get on a weird bus and go off of, like, he's not trying to preach anything. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like he's telling you to go to spring break. Like, never did I think that he was being a proponent of that kind of free living.
Mm-mm.
Even though the movie is 100%, do whatever the fuck you want.
Spring break.
For the break.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like the director is telling you to yeah, go ahead, do that. Nothing will go wrong.
He does. There is one other really important opinion that he does express in this movie, and that is that money makes my pussy wet and my tits bigger. So there is that, and I think that's like very important to also note.
Yeah.
So, and here's something I remember. I was talking to you about how like this is like my final and only chance, because tomorrow I will never speak again to talk about this film. And so something that I've always thought about it, and I've thought a lot about in the last couple of weeks, because it's been a couple of weeks since we recorded actually, is that building on my previous point, this is a movie that's so richly realized and beautiful and interesting and watchable and entertaining in equal portions that it's so tempting to impose meaning upon it.
Yeah.
And I don't think Harmony Korine cares about any of that.
No.
And I will say, so I'm going to say something like really vulnerable that I think is worth saying. There's debates about this movie about whether it's like a feminist masterpiece or a bunch of fucking schlock, right?
Yeah.
And as kind of like a progressive person myself, I lean towards wanting it to be a feminist masterwork.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to stop myself all the time thinking that, because I'm just kind of like, I don't think it cares.
Yeah, I don't think it intends it.
I think that lots of people have imposed this idea upon it, and that's fine. Like that's art, right? You can impose your own thoughts and you can react to it in certain ways.
Yeah.
But the more I watch this movie, the less I am like, this has something meaningful to say about women and their point of view.
When you're in your 20s and you see this movie at the cinemas, or when you're younger and you're like, oh my God, this is a fucking feminist masterpiece. The girls are always winning. Do you find that as you grow older and then you see more than 6 films, you're like, is that really the intention, or is it what I want to believe? Because now I've seen a movie where women are able to be free. So is that enough for it to qualify as a feminist piece?
Like you're talking about like why my thoughts have like changed on this.
Yeah, in your 30s, or like, over the course of the time that's gone by, when you see a piece of film where you're like, I felt about it so differently then. Now I just think this is good, and it doesn't have to be loaded with any other
significance,
deep meaning.
Yeah. Like I think when I was in my 20s, certainly, and I think a lot of people feel this way, and if you don't, then I think you're kind of kidding yourself a little bit. When you're in your 20s, everything is so much more black and white to you.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I certainly am. I'm a person with strong opinions. This is the reason I have a fucking show about this stupid bullshit that for some reason some people listen to. But like, everything seems so much more black and white.
Yeah.
And I think a part of that is like, one, you're just figuring out how to really express yourself. And so you want to express yourself strongly. And two,
really good point.
It's a defense mechanism from the fact that you're just like, woo, this is all meaningless. Because you're just kind of like, well, if Spring Breakers is a feminist masterwork or not, who gives a fuck?
Totally.
And also I'm smart enough to know what this movie is about, which I think some people don't lose when they get older sometimes. Mm-hmm. I think people still
ascribe deep meaning to it.
Or it's like, and we've talked about this before, where it's like, if you're a reviewer, it's like, well, you gotta have a take. One of the things, I read a 10-year retrospective from a site I'm not going to name, because it was such a piece of shit, and it was so like thoughtless, and it just felt like the author just had like a thesaurus on hand and was like blah blah blah, and I was like, I don't see what you see in this, which is fair, but ultimately I was like, I don't think you actually have given this a lot of thought, which could be true, could be not. It could be I'm the problem. But I think like now I often hold myself back from ascribing meaning to a thing just because I really love it.
Why?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like Antichrist is a good example. Like my ultimate position is like, I don't think the movie actually means anything beyond what's kind of like depicted, right? Which we've talked about. I think this movie is similar, but I didn't want to just repeat the same way I feel about Antichrist is the way I feel about this, because it's not exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I just like,
because now we're not afraid of being judged for having no take, and by no take I mean one that is not deep or philosophical. Versus when you're younger, you have to speak your mind in a way that is convincing. Like, you have to convince yourself and someone who you're talking to, like, these are the reasons why I think this movie is da 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 da. But now, I don't know if it's because we're jaded or we're just like, we've seen 40 things that do this concept better. We're just like, yeah, this was fine. Also, I don't think the director wants you to like J or D over how much of a masterpiece this is.
Yeah. Weirdly, I also feel less, I feel like less pressure to maybe demonstrate my like feminist bona fides by ascribing a feminist message to a film that might not have it.
Yeah.
And just kind of being like, well, my take is that it's like this progressive feminist idea.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, who cares if I feel that way?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
ultimately, like, who actually cares if I, John, feel that way?
Mm-hmm.
Like, at the end of the day, those bona fides don't really matter if you don't behave that way.
Yeah.
And so, like, I would rather be like, well, instead of, like, saying, like, I think this way, it's kind of like, well, why don't you just behave right? Why don't you just behave like a person who believes those kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
Instead of having to, like, feel like maybe you and when you're in your 20s, like, you got to prove it. Like, you feel like you have to prove yourself all the time, right?
100%.
You have to prove when it comes to like art and culture, it's like you have to prove you're smart about it,
right?
And you have to prove that you think the right general things about it.
Yeah.
And I think that now I'm just kind of like, well, I think what I think.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like I think what I think and I just say what I mean and like, oh my God, people just have to take it. Like, I don't think that.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of like, well, I don't know.
Which is so refreshing to see in Spring Breakers, where the two girls are sitting in class in college, drawing little hearts and being like, I love dicks. And then also little emojis where it's like, spring break is coming. And you, because of the stereotype, you're taught to believe that they're going to die a gruesome death and nothing bad ever happens to them. Even the argument that, oh, maybe this is feminist, is that just coming from the fact that these girls don't end up dying from making ridiculous decisions for themselves? Is it just by virtue of living and coming out alive at the end of this film enough to qualify it as a feminist film? Because there are so many instances where these young girls are just like in rooms with frat boys, and any other movie I'd be like, oh shit, okay, it's going to happen. Like, they're going to get assaulted, like, or something. They're gonna get fucking murdered or raped or worse, and it never does.
Mm-hmm.
And they come out on top every time. And
you see them do things to men that I don't think you see in very many films.
No,
like there are lots of movies, especially since like Me Too, right? For example, where when you see a woman alone in a room full of men, you're kind of automatically led to be like, this is bad fucking news.
Yeah.
And yet when you see Rachel Korine alone in that room with men and she's just like, you're never gonna get this pussy.
Oh my God.
Never gonna get this pussy.
Terrifying.
That stuff, like, you don't really see that very often.
No.
And then furthermore, when Franco is with Hudgens and Ashley Benson, and he's got the guns, and then they make him suck their guns, dicks.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see shit like that, you know?
He obviously like is afraid, and then, is it kind of assault on him? Who cares? He fucking sucks. But he does kind of end up going, I just sucked y'all's cocks, and or dicks, or whatever. And it's great because the women are still kind of shown in positions of power. This, after one of them, 50% of the lady groups is gone.
Mm-hmm.
One is injured, one opts out. So the two who from the very start of the film are called, quote unquote, demonic women, or like crazy Satan bitches. Or
Vanessa Hudgens' character is definitely. Because the two women say that, they say Candy and Cotty have demon blood.
There you go.
And Candy, Vanessa Hudgens is Candy. I still don't know their names after so many times seeing this movie.
Candy and Cotty. Yeah.
Cotty leaves. That's Rachel Korine, and she's shot, she leaves.
Britt.
It's Britt and Candy who remain.
Right.
But Vanessa Hudgens, we'll talk more about her performance. Yeah, like she's the one with demon blood, basically.
Yeah. So does that make it feminism, where they're just like, well, as long as we didn't die.
Not only that, they're like untouchable.
Yeah.
There's like this dream aspect to this film.
Yeah.
I think that like me personally, like, I don't shy away from, just because this movie might be unfeminist, quote unquote, which I don't think it is.
No.
At the same time, I don't think it's like particularly feminist or whatever.
Totally.
I've never shied away from being like, I Like, that's fine. I can still enjoy the film while also grappling with its meaning. I also don't think it disqualifies the film from having any meaning.
Yeah.
And I also, like, I'm not saying, like, people who want to think this shouldn't think it. I don't think that. This is my opinion. Because there's another aspect to this, which I will not really talk about because I don't have anything interesting to add to.
Right.
Which is, like, there's some really interesting writing about this movie and race.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And I don't, much like the feminism discussion, I don't have a lot to add to that. I don't have a lot to add to the racial discussion about it. But, like, this, it's just a side effect of this movie being so fucking good.
Oh, you mean the blackness of it being James Franco's character basically co-opting hip-hop culture and doing his best impression of fucking Riff Raff from YouTube in 2010?
I mean, I think it goes deeper than that, right? Like, I think what's helpful about talking about Harmony Korine's career is realizing that it's like, I don't think this guy makes movies based on messages or themes.
Yeah.
He kind of makes movies by feel, you know?
Yeah.
Which is, to be honest, it's a way to make movies. Like, not everything has to have a larger theme. And you can also, I'm sure someone like Harmony Korine makes movies and then sees stuff in them afterwards that he's like, oh, I never really thought of it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And he said about this, I read some interviews with him about this movie, and there were people who prodded him about, like, the meaning behind this and this and that. And he was like, I'd rather just leave it up to the viewer, which is what we're doing, which is what we're doing here today, which is what a lot of reviewers did, which is what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
The point is, this movie is just, like, superbly made and really fun to fucking watch. You know?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And as long as it gets you feeling the feels, then it's already kind of a success, no?
Yeah. And I saw this movie in theaters, and it was like one of the great theater going experiences of my life, because there was such an interesting contrast between the expectations of what this movie would have and what it ended up being. And every moment, the further this film goes on, the more you start to feel like he's just like, you can have a thing, but not actually. And it's you can maybe have a thing, but I don't fucking care. You can maybe have this, but no. And it's like, it upends your expectations at every turn, in my opinion. And like, when James Franco comes on screen, you're just kind of like, I did not expect him to be that.
Yeah.
You know? And Selena Gomez, Ashley Benson, Vanessa Hudgens is just like, I did not expect this from these young women.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, Selena Gomez is the only kind of character who remains herself as she does in other films.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a girl who calls her grandma a bunch.
Hi, Grandma.
Hi, Grandma.
That's so sweet. Yeah.
I hated it.
Yeah.
Sorry, fucking. Every time Selena Gomez's face was on screen, I was like, turn this shit off, my guy.
Oh.
Which is perfect, because she's meant to be
she's
that
fantastic,
character.
man. I think she's so good.
Like, she's nailing the role that she's supposed to do by being like a small, innocent baby child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like the most interesting thing she's done until she started her cooking show, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Truly, like, the more I watch this movie, Vanessa Hudgens really stands out.
What a force.
She's unbelievable in this film. I think this echoes what we talked about with, like, Dakota Johnson and Suspiria, is that, like, I don't think people would be willing to give someone like Vanessa Hudgens the credit for doing what she's doing. But she's like, the woman's like a Disney princess.
Well, that's why it's more shocking, right? Because our perception of A is now Z. Like,
yeah,
it's meant to be. I think it's very smart of Harmony Korine to be like, I'm going to recruit 2 of the softest bitches that people have ever known.
Yeah.
And then make them do whack shit. Which, of course, like, I don't know if he would have gotten Tara G.P. Henson to do that role. We wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, she nailed it as a fucking gangster bitch. Like, of course she's gonna.
Not true, because you've never seen Smokin' Aces. But like, but I think there's this thing where, okay, so he recruits these women. Rachel Korine is his wife, so she's involved. She's very good in this.
Yeah.
Ashley Benson, Vanessa Hudgens, and Selena Gomez, and he recruits these women. That's so clearly like a provocation, right? It feels, when you hear these 3 women are doing a film with Harmony Korine, the dude who wrote a film about kids with AIDS.
Yep.
You're like, this is such a provocation. And I think lots of people went into the movie or came out of the movie feeling that way. And I think that people dismiss their performances because of that, because they're just kind of like, oh, this is just like edgelord shit.
Right.
And I don't think that's true.
Right.
And
right.
I truly think that, like, when you read a lot of these reviews, I can't think of a time when someone said, like, not only are these women in this, they're all very good.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating, and it's not like I'm the only person who probably thinks that. I don't think that I am.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, Vanessa Hudgens specifically is, like, shockingly good in this, I think.
I agree.
She's so unhinged in such a perfect way. And, like, the scene when they're in the parking lot and they're recounting the robbery,
Yep.
she is, like, scary. And Selena Gomez is, like, doing a perfect job of being like, this is frightening now.
Boy.
Like, when she says something, like, she's like, what did you say? And she's like, I said, get down on your fucking knees and give me all your fucking money.
Yeah.
And Selena Gomez is like, what did they do? And she's like, they got down on her fucking knees. Like, it's such a fucking perfect delivery. She's like, got down on her fucking knees. I don't know. Yeah.
Shocking that no one in free America has a gun in the diner. Come on, man. You're gonna get robbed by a bunch of girls? Come on, get out of here.
It's a little dreamlike, and that's kind of the point. Pretend it's a video game.
It's no Boogie Nights, that's all I'm saying. That's good.
But, like, this whole movie is, well, you know, it's half the length of Boogie Nights, so it's a lot more palatable.
Oh,
but,
I just mean the little
but, like,
donut shop. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I like Boogie Nights. I'm not throwing shade at PTA or anything. But he's never worked with Vanessa Hudgens.
Okay, get on our level.
Yeah, PTA. You're all like, oh, Daniel Day-Lewis is so good. I want to work with Meryl Streep.
Yeah, but can he
I
do?
would like to work with Paul Thomas Anderson. That's not even sounds like nothing I said earlier. That was Meryl Streep. I don't know.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. No.
Okay. I'm fucking just like raving like a lunatic about this film.
I love your enthusiasm.
I love it.
I didn't know you loved it this much, so I'm finding out now with
Fucking
our
love it.
audience. My gosh.
I fucking love this movie.
Fucking
I hadn't watched it in a long time either. The other day when we were like, this had always been on our list of something I wanted to do, but I wanted to save it because I wanted to have time to like think about it, which was like the perfect time.
Yeah.
Feels like spring break in November here, and it's,
yeah.
you know, perfect time to feel alive. Yeah.
I forgot what it's like when it rains, and now here we are.
I do actually have one more kind of thing to say about the context of this movie.
Yeah.
That like I find personally affecting about this film.
What is it?
So this movie comes out in 2013. I was 23. You were 23 at the time. One thing I think a lot about this movie is like it's very millennial.
Yes.
In a weird way.
Yeah.
I remember being 23 and not being a person like this.
Yeah.
But kind of feeling like I was like, how does the other half live? You know, like I like not in a derogatory way or anything, but like it does
What's
remind
going on in
me.
Florida?
It reminds me a lot of the weird pressures of being a young millennial, like in your 20s, and kind of being like you should be successful in your school or career.
Yeah.
Be able to party all the time and have tons of friends, and always be able to keep those two things in balance. And never have to really sacrifice either of them. As long as you only slept 3 hours a night, you could do it. And that was like the false dream that was like capitalized, that millennials were capitalized upon.
Correct.
And a lot of this movie too is just on the precipice of social media completely changing everybody's fucking life.
Mm-hmm.
This movie feels like it's like just on the edge of when in my opinion, after that, life starts to feel a little more unreal because so much of life happens on social media.
Yeah.
Even like the imagery of spring breakers seems like what Instagram became just like a couple years later.
Totally.
You're just watching that all the time.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And like in this movie, like I don't want to sound so like simplistic as being like, oh, they don't even have phones and stuff. Like, but like
they really don't have any phones.
It's
in
very like it's just the thing and not a facsimile of the thing in a way.
Yeah.
But it does remind me that it reminds me of like the mid 2010s of just kind of being like, God, this looks like everybody's insufferable Instagram at the time.
Because it's like total debauchery with no one to record it.
Yeah.
At least not in the film. There's no camera. Like in the first 5 minutes, there's like 75 tits out.
Yeah.
If you were taking a shot every time you saw a tit, you would die of alcohol poisoning.
Yeah.
There is so much going on, and not once are people wanting to portray themselves in any other way on social media.
It's
or
unironic in a way.
Yeah.
It's kind of like because it's right in the middle of the very the hipster irony phase
Yeah.
of the world, but that didn't really reach its peak yet. But it is this. It comes back to the joyfulness of this film is like it is unironic in a way. Like the film opens with all of these people dancing at spring break, and it's scored by this like Skrillex song, which you would think would be really obnoxious, but it gets me as pumped as Kingdom of Heaven. It's like it gets me as jacked as the Kingdom of Heaven overture, and there's this like because that song is very interesting because it has this kind of like beautiful little bit and then this like insane beat drop to it, and as the beat drops there's just a guy chugging a beer bottle and holding his dick and thrusting in the air, and I'm like, this is like the perfect image of what this film is. And it's the same with like the shot that I love of Ashley Benson, just like she's squirting liquor into her mouth in a squirt gun, but it just looks like she has a gun pointed directly at her face.
And a little like booze comes out of it.
It's like, it's full of these kind of like bizarre images like that are, I don't know, just so.
But I guess you wouldn't bother with real life or virtual life if you're knocked the fuck out on drugs and alcohol. So I guess like it's a moot point for us to be talking about social media. But
this movie is the epitome of like people just living not a phone in sight. Kind of like it's
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I don't know, but it does like remind me of that because like every year after that, it felt more prescient and it felt more like what life kind of was, even though this movie is so absurd and over the top in a weird way. Yeah, I don't know.
Even when I now think about like a time when we didn't have phones, I'm thinking of the fucking 80s, which is not at all accurate because I wasn't even there then. But I have an image of like, young Paul Giamatti, just like no phone. I can't picture a moment in my life or in like TV where someone's not on their phone or involved with the phone.
Yeah.
And then it has to be a whack ass fucking spring party tits out scene like this to be like, yeah, really appreciate living in the moment, guys. Try it. Wild.
Look at my teeth.
Look at my teeth.
To set the scene of this plot, the movie does this really interesting. It's very interestingly edited because it often will weirdly like skip ahead to a scene like to preview what's coming next before you actually get there.
Yeah.
So talking about the plot doesn't really do a lot of justice to how the experience of the film. That's okay.
Yeah.
So the four ladies are at college in Florida, or somewhere near. Who cares?
Yeah.
Southeastern United States.
College town.
Yeah, that's the southeastern United States is only Florida. Actually, I've decided I'm passing a law. It's going to go to the Senate.
Country of Florida, as they know it. Yep.
The Speaker of the House is going to be like, Congress, make it happen. I'm pretty sure that's how laws work in the United States.
Bit.
Do you think the U.S. has the stupidest fucking politics?
No, because
besides their bullshit.
No, they go to Congress and they're like, Florida, I'm loving it, and they're like, you can have it. It's done. All right, sue me. What's up, America, baby? USA. What?
It's the American dream.
It's the American
Scarface
dream.
on repeat.
On
Got
repeat.
Shorts every color.
Look at my
Shoryukens. I got nunchucks. It's the American dream, y'all.
That little piece of monologue. What a beauty. What a beauty. I feel like
everyone's like,
no
you gotta be good.
I
want it to be bad.
Yeah. I feel like James Franco would have done character study at the beach and was like, all right, Harmony, listen here, Mr. Harmony. I got it. It's on the lock. And then Harmony was like, all right, pretend this croissant is your bed. Now act upon it. And boy, did he.
I heard he showed up to set. He showed up because he felt like a real connection to the character. And he showed up to set dressed in his costume. And then Harmony Korine was like, Meryl Streep, you're fired. We don't need you for this film. And she was like, okay, I will go and be the Iron Lady in that case.
God damn it. Oh my God, speaking of the Iron Lady, not that it's any connection here, but can you fucking believe that The Artist won Best Picture the same year this movie came out?
No, The Artist won in 2012.
No.
Yeah, because it came out in 2011.
Shit.
Yeah.
Can you believe, though?
Do you think Franco was worthy of an Academy Award nomination?
For this one?
Yes.
He's a silly goose. He's a silly goose guy.
Actually, the year that this could have been nominated for anything, which it never would have been, by the way. It was actually a really, really strong year.
Who won?
12 Years a Slave.
Oh, man.
Another joyful fucking movie.
Can you imagine if 12 Years lost out to Sprang Brag?
Isn't that fucking movie good, though?
Come on.
Have you seen it recently?
God, no.
12 Years a Slave is fucking
Once
amazing.
was plenty.
Oh, that movie is great.
Phew.
It's not fun.
It's not a light watch.
No.
But
then also, I mean, I can't believe American Hustle didn't win anything. My favorite David. Hey, David. American Hustle won. You ever thought about that, David?
Was he also a chef in it? I don't know.
We're just gonna take the next hour and a half to talk about the Academy Awards from that year. So just bear with us. Spring Breakers / Academy Awards. But more importantly, Cate Blanchett won Best Actress for a role that she shouldn't have won for, but I have an impression that's important for me to do. So I rewatched The Aviator this week.
Oh,
because I love The Aviator.
Okay.
I think it's a great movie. With Killers of the Flower Moon coming out recently, I've been watching Scorsese, and I understand that like The Aviator, Gangs of New York, they're not everyone's favorites. I love The Aviator.
Gangs of New York slaps. What's up?
I love Gangs of New York, but it's not commonly seen as one of his best films, right?
Fair. Okay.
Even though it's a great movie. But The Aviator I used to have on DVD, and I watched it again this week, and I realized that I was like, just like, much like The Departed, I was like just talking along to it all the time, like just being like, oh, I remember these lines just the back of my hand. And so I have to do my Katherine Hepburn impression from The Aviator. Okay. So I suppose you're wooing me now.
Why do you have this in your back pocket?
I sweat and you're deaf.
Oh, Jesus.
What a lovely pair of misfits. It is pretty good, right?
That's fucking good.
Yeah.
That is fucking good.
And then I do have my Leo in my back pocket from that too. I'm willing to take a shellacking in the press.
It's Katherine with a mustache on. Stop it.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh no.
I don't know if anyone knows this, but watch The Aviator. It's a very good movie. Stars Leonardo DiCaprio.
I'm over it.
And Cate Blanchett. I think she won an Academy Award for that too.
Shit.
I have a hot take though. Leo should have won Best Actor that year for that. Look at my shit. So they're at college. That was a very long
Anyway, Sprang Break.
So they're at college. It's Sprang Break.
Yeah.
And they don't have enough money to go, and they're just kind of like, oh, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Blah blah. And then the baddies, Hudgens and Benson, are like, we're gonna rob a place.
Yes.
So
let's establish that these four girls, one of their names is Faith, who goes to church.
Faith, Candy,
and is super Christian.
Cotty, and Britt.
Yeah, but more importantly, Faith.
It's important.
Is Selena
a little
Gomez.
on the nose, yeah. So they rob the chicken shack, which is a phenomenal scene. The way that it's filmed, how it's filmed just in the car and watching them inside,
so good,
is so fucking good.
Very smart choice too.
It's so good, yes. And the weird thing, which I just thought of this time around when I watched it, they take a professor's car. They steal his car, right? They talk about it. They steal. This is the very little bit of plot that Harmony Korine cares about. They steal this guy's car. Not only that, steal it, rob the chicken shack,
set it on fire,
burn it. And so I'm always, the way that I think about this movie is like, I was like, were they never planning on coming back to town? Like, are these chicks
Probably
like
not.
totally YOLOing the world? Like
100%. 100%. Once you decide to rob a diner and hold people at fake gunpoint, you can't just go back to trigonometry.
They have their masks on though. And then at the end, they drive out of town in the most auspicious vehicle they could find, right? Because they're driving in that like Ferrari or whatever.
Of course.
Starring Adam Driver.
That's great.
Upcoming. So they head down to spring break, and I mean, it gets like insane. Like there's like many scenes of them partying. It's fantastic. There's voiceover of Selena Gomez talking to her grandma saying, I want to bring you to spring break, which is a bananas thing to say.
Because it is all dreamlike.
Exactly.
At this point, I don't even know if they're having real conversations with people on the other side of the phone. Maybe they are, but they always say things like, this is so great. everyone's so nice. Meanwhile, everyone's like dying
Yeah.
of bullets.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Well, it's funny because later, before the wrap up of this whole joint, Ashley Benson calls her mom and she's like, I just want to be better.
Yeah.
Mom, I just want to do better.
Yeah.
I find hilarious.
It's great.
And
Because she's in a dream.
eventually, though, they see Alien perform, and then they are at an insane party, and they are arrested for being fucking crazy spring break ladies. But I have to point out, in between then and now, this scene where they go to the convenience store, and there's a long extended sequence of them in the parking lot. That is like from start to finish wonderful. Like, it's so fucking good. And it's when they're sitting in front of the convenience store and they're singing Hit Me Baby One More Time.
Oh yeah.
And like it just all looks
Oh,
improvised,
hell yeah.
but like in the most fun kind of way.
Well done.
And then they start walking through how the robbery went, and then they cut back to the robbery inside the chicken shack.
That's right.
Which is also fucking great because, like, again, what I love about these women's performances is like a lot of the time they're just fucking going for it.
Yeah.
Like, when you're in the chicken shack, it's so chaotic, and they're like slamming the table with hammers, they're threatening people, and like just like
100%.
It's I love it so much.
It's motivating in a weird way because, like, I don't know, weirdly when I saw this, I was thinking of like being young and interviewing for jobs with this kind of brazen, just like confidence.
Yeah.
Being like, yeah, I am good at this job, and now you will suck my gun.
Whoa. Is there something I have to know about in your past? Someone on LinkedIn gonna come after you right now? Like, this lady made me suck my... Actually, sorry, it was probably Meryl Streep. This young Indian lady made me suck my gun at a job interview, which is why I became an actress, and for the Iron Lady won an Academy Award.
I'm watching you, Meryl.
Katherine
I didn't get the
Hepburn.
job. But,
It's one of those rare scenes where you see an actor doing a thing where you're like, this must have been so much fun to film,
Yeah.
just going into a place and slamming it with hammers and yelling at people and blah blah. Like, I don't often think that. Certainly not when I watch Meryl fucking Streep. Maybe she could take a page out of these young ladies' book, but.
Why are we railing on Miss Streep? She's done no crimes to this movie.
I don't know. I have some stuff we can talk about off mic where I know of some crimes.
Don't
that
even
Meryl
start.
Streep has
Don't even
committed.
start.
Okay.
No.
Let me just say, I've seen Meryl Streep's gun.
You know what?
It's big.
Yeah, goddamn right. How do you think she got that great big part in Adaptation?
From her good acting. Jesus.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, where the fuck were we?
What are we doing?
Parking lot.
Yes.
They recount the robbery. It's an incredible... The whole thing is like just a wonderful scene. I just had to point it out. Because like, it doesn't really figure
It's
into
so
the
well
plot.
done.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
It just feels like they were just like rolling for hours and just caught whatever they could and then cut it together into this incredible piece. They get arrested. They go to court.
Mm-hmm.
The ATL twins, they're like Alien, Franco's character, bail these ladies out because we could probably use and abuse them in some way.
Right.
And Franco just he's like a nuclear bomb in this film. Like,
oh my God.
I know Franco has had problems and things like this. He's great in this.
He's great in this, yeah. Do you ever forget that it's James Franco, though?
Often.
Do you? It's like you're able to be immersed in that character so much. Be like, this is just some guy who's playing Alien.
I think this is his best role. And I think that he is lacking many of the picadillos that make James Franco seem like an actor.
I feel like because of that big of a name, I was able to not disconnect it. So the whole time I'm like, oh, James Franco is saying, look at my shorts. James Franco is saying, we're going to smoke these fools. So it was hard for me to be like, it's just a weird guy. But to no fault of his own, he's just so big. He's so...
Nothing like this, though.
Nothing like this. This is, of course, the weirdest shit that he's done.
Yeah.
And he's done plenty of weird shit.
When you think of, like, Franco being nominated for something like 127 Hours, which I don't think is a bad movie.
No.
But it's like and I don't think it's a bad performance either. It's a challenging performance.
Yeah.
Like, this movie, he just seems so immersed and one with the role.
Just that now,
I don't think of him that way.
In recent news or not so recent news, just because of his infamy, it's hard for me to like think of him as an actor anymore. And the only role where I was like, oh, he was good is This Is the End, where he just plays himself.
He's just himself, yeah.
All the guys play themselves. And I was like, this is what he's like in real life, even if he's not.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah.
But like I understand, like, yeah, of course. It's hard to separate
to
James Franco of real life with the guy who's portraying stuff on screen.
When he first came on, I was like, Meryl? A chameleon.
Look at my shit.
My shurikens.
Keep doing it forever. My shurikens. Basically, he takes them under his wing.
Yeah.
And he's just like, we're going to party. St. Pete does it right. Look at my teeth. They should call me money, et cetera, et cetera. But Faith is not enjoying herself. She
starts crying right away.
Really not having it.
Yeah.
And she decides to leave, which...
so she's in the movie for 12 minutes and then she's gone.
She's in it for about half the film. There's actually a really good scene between her and Franco. And the part where he's like... It's kind of frightening. Like the part where she's like, she's like, oh, we were in jail and then we got out of jail, and he's like, I didn't put you in jail. I got you out of jail. Yeah. Don't put that on me and stuff. And it's like, oh, dude, whatever. Yeah. It's creepy. She leaves, and then we have the other greatest scene ever, the look at my shit that we quoted. It's unfucking believable. Yeah. So good.
Can I say when when the director decides to let Selena Gomez go and leave the film at this stage, she's like, I'm afraid I don't want to be in this fucking nutty town.
Smart.
So smart that like no movie ever lets you have that gratification quick, because like from the first scene I'm so uncomfortable.
But also
I know some bad shit's gonna happen to these girls, but one of them gets out so early.
Also, it's very Scream-like in the way that its top billed cast is gone from the film,
which
is really interesting.
And you don't miss her for the rest of it. No. You don't need Selena Gomez in this at all.
You don't. The thing is like this movie kind of it doesn't need arcs, and it doesn't need it just is like the closest thing we get to an arc is Franco's character.
That's it.
But like really, it's a vibe, bro.
Yeah, it's a dream, bro.
Then we meet, through the course of all this, we meet Gucci Mane, who Franco and him
fantastic.
were... I don't know if he's fantastic. But
Gucci Mane is phenomenal, dude.
He won't take off that ice cream necklace, though, which is his thing.
He's just himself. He's like, sup, I'm just a financial guru.
Yeah.
I'm making the most money I've ever made.
No, he's a drug dealer.
He's a drug dealer.
Yeah.
And
my baby's starving.
His baby's starving in a mansion. Starving.
Yeah.
And Franco's character and
is
Gucci
taking
Mane,
food out of his baby's mouth.
They used to be besties, right? Yeah. And so now he's infringing on his territory where the drugs are, partying.
Yeah.
And so Gooch is not going to have any of it.
Please don't call him Gooch.
I'm sorry. Yeah. We're on first name basis.
I don't think he likes that. Well, then call him Dennis or whatever his name is. Jesus. God. So... Dennis. So then after that, like, we have this threat that Gucci Mane is his rival, essentially, former best friend rival. And then there's further again, this movie is full of fucking incredible scenes.
There is a show-stopping sequence.
It's unbelievable.
It involves a piano.
Yeah.
And James Franco.
And it's like a montage set to a Britney Spears song.
There's so many Britney jams in this movie, dude.
Yeah.
Pop princess.
Someone could write a really good academic paper about why. I don't really know why.
They should.
Even the montage itself, I just find so sublimely beautiful. Like when they're like dancing, holding the gun barrels and dancing in a circle.
Yeah.
And then like there's like a shot of like slow motion Franco jumping on a bed, and one of the girls is in front of him with a shotgun, like screaming.
Yeah.
And this shot of Franco stuffing the guy's head in the cake.
Perfect.
It's just like, it's so luscious and beautiful.
Hell yeah.
And like, it's one of those things that it's like, it's not like emotionally moving. It's just beautifully moving. Because you're just like, this is what I want from a lot of movies.
Yeah.
This is what because sometimes movies are boring.
Yes.
And this movie, at least, you can never say there's a moment where you're like, I'm bored. It's it's always stuffing something in your face.
Yeah, you don't see a Britney song come up in Gangs of New York, and that is its downfall. So
yeah.
What's up?
Although when they used it in Lincoln, I thought it was inappropriate.
Every time I
Hit me, baby, one more time. My Meryl Streep sucks ass.
Whoa, cancel.
So from there, basically, and then they run into Gucci Mane again. He shoots Cotty. She gets shot in the arm. And she's like, I would also like to leave. And she does.
Yes.
There you go. And then,
so now 50% of the girl gang is gone.
Yeah, but the only two that really matter are
the only
are
two
left.
satanic ones that matter still
the
remain.
demon blood. Basically, they want to. James Franco's like, let's go get revenge. We're gonna go kill my friend. They go.
Yeah.
And James Franco gets immediately domed, just shot in the head.
Which, as it was happening, as they're walking up into Gucci Mane's mansion, I so badly hoped that this is where Franco would die. And my God, what a
boy
delivery.
did they deliver.
All my wishes are granted in this
Yeah.
film, dude. It was perfect. Like, because you've seen as much as you wanted to see of him. No one wants to see him succeed beyond that anyway.
Also, you don't care about him
You
as
don't
much
care
as you
about
care
him.
about the girls.
Yeah.
You don't care about the women. And then they murder everybody.
They kill the shit out of everyone.
Like untouchably murder everyone in their bikini and white balaclavas. They
It's some
murder
Pulp
the
Fiction
fuck
shit.
out of everyone.
Yeah. Just they move like wind and kill everyone.
It's and all in slow mo. It's like it's a beautiful scene. They killed Gucci Mane in his hot tub, and that's it.
They're just in bikinis, and then there's all these gangster dudes, and not one bullet hits the girls.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And then they steal Gucci Mane's Ferrari and drive away to, I guess, be criminals. But we get the final scene. The final shot is like wonderful, where James Franco's dead body, and they both lean down and kiss him, and then run off into the dark. In their
drive off
fluorescent
into the Ferrari.
No. The last shot is up them upside down running down the dock in their fluorescent bikinis. It's
right.
fucking awesome.
Well, it's like music video ending, right? It's very MTV of them.
But this movie, it contains such thought.
Yeah, which is unexpected.
It contains shit to think about,
Of
which
course.
is so fucking awesome about it.
Well, that's what makes it worth remembering. And to your point, like that's why it kind of holds a special place in your heart, because it's not just quote edgy movie. It's just
it's there's something to the fact that, as we just said, this movie is so entertaining from start to finish. It's a crisp 87 minutes of filmmaking, and it flies by. I think every scene is so entertaining and interesting, and many movies today that are like, hey, we're about something.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about this?
Here's a spoon, let me feed it to you.
Not necessarily, but bad ones, yes. There are bad ones where it's this kind of like, have you ever thought about this? And it's like, well, actually, yeah, I have actually. I've thought about that, yeah, because I read about it on fucking the internet the other day when you came up with this idea. And I'm not saying it's bad to make movies about something, but it's so amazing to see a film that you get to dig into, and the answer, you're never going to get it. You're never going to get the answer.
No.
But that's what makes this movie so fascinating, I think. And on top of that, it's still also like eating ice cream because it's so fucking entertaining.
Because they come out on top.
Yeah.
From start to finish, the girls are just succeeding, no matter what.
I guess it is feminist. Ladies,
what's up? We cracked it.
Get a job.
Ladies, get a job. Or don't, just kill a bunch of people.
Sorry, excuse me. Ladies, just do what you like.
Yes.
I thought we were going to go like a lot longer about this. Thank you for listening. I've been John.
And I'm Pri. And it's been the low ceiling.
It has been the low ceiling. We had Katherine Hepburn. We had Meryl Streep. Had a little Daniel Day.
Yeah.
We had a little Leo.
Little Leo.
You never thought that a pod episode about this film would be so star-studded.
My God, spring break, more like all seasons. Am I right?
Heyo.
Goodbye.
Shit.